Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel where I document my progress to not only becoming totally debt-free, but also increasing and building my net worth to one day be over $1 million. It actually occurred to me while filming my last video that I am coming up on the 1-year anniversary of me filming these types of videos of tracking my net worth and tracking my student debt payoff and how that's going. And so I'm really excited, especially the end of this month, March 2022, to see what my net worth is going to be, and we'll be able to look at it from a year stance and see what has happened over the course of 1 year. However, this video, even though it's going to be a little bit late, is going to be a February net worth recap and update. The reason it's going to be a little bit late, I'm sure many other creators can relate to this pain, but I recorded this entire video and it was really good. Went to start editing it and for some reason there was no sound and I could not get there to be any sound. Very sad, very disappointing, very frustrating. So I'm recording it again a little bit later. This month there has been quite a bit of change with my net worth, which is really exciting. I'm really kind of pumped to put in these numbers and show you guys how things are going. But I would also strongly encourage you guys to come back at the end of March when I post my next net worth update, because without giving away any spoilers, there is going to be some major changes that take place there. So if you are not already subscribed to this channel, I highly encourage you to do so if you like content like this. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at my Google Sheets spreadsheet that I use to track my net worth. All right, so the first thing I want to draw your attention to is this blue column over here called net worth by month. And as you guys can see, I've been tracking this since March of 2021, and we are quickly approaching March of 2022. And what this side of the graph is doing, it is simply tracking once I put in my assets and liabilities, it takes the total number and subtracts them, and it gives me what my net worth is currently. So as you guys can see, at the time of the last video, my January net worth of 2022, I was sitting at negative $16,560. And you guys can see how it has actually grown over the last almost year now. One thing to point out is that yes, these are negative numbers, but they are trending in the positive direction. And the other thing to note on here is the change column, and this column tracks how much my net worth, let's just say how much my net worth has progressed from month to month. So for example, from December to January, there was a change of $3,500, and we will be able to see at the end of this video, once I have done, all the punching in the numbers, what not only my net worth is for February, but also how much of a change there has been between January and February. Now, with all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and we are going to first start by looking at my liabilities this month. And we are going to start now with the mortgage column down here. Now, the mortgage is one of those things in my kind of financial realm right now that I'm not really too, I guess I shouldn't say involved with because I pay it every month, but I'm not really focused on paying it off very quickly. The reason for that is that my student loans are I guess, way worse interest than my mortgage loan. And another thing to point out is that mortgage loans don't really work like a student loan. With a student loan, if I contribute extra, it continues to get pulled out of the principal if I pay over the minimum. However, on a mortgage loan, a lot of the payment is chewed up by interest at the beginning of the life of the loan. And then as you work your way down and pay off more and more, then the kind of ratio of principal to interest kind of switches. There also is an escrow built into my mortgage loan. So even though I make payments of, I think, $1,059 a month, there's very little change that happens in the life of the mortgage loan. So right now for February, my mortgage loan, I have it written down right here, is, let me punch that in, $133,454.54. I think that number is actually a little bit skewed in my favor because at the time of me tracking this, as I already said, it's already March, so I can only look in to see what it is right now, and I think the March payment has already gone through. So it's a little bit, it needs to kind of be adjusted for March. but that's okay. So $133,454. All right. Car loan. Oh, that's right. There is no car loan. We paid that off back in July, I believe. My government loan, once again, is the same. If you guys are tracking my, or watching and following my student debt update journey, you know all about that and kind of the decisions I'm going to have to start making in a few short months regarding my government loans and their payment process. And then moving up here to Sallie Mae. Once again, if you saw my latest student debt update video, you know that this month I made a sizable dent in that loan. I only have one more Sallie Mae loan left, which is great news because if you guys, I'm not going to mess up my graph here, but if I go all the way back here to, I don't know what month this is, maybe March or April. You can't really see it on your screen, but I can see it on mine. There is a total Sallie Mae loan here of $30,541. And now, at the time of filming this, my Sallie Mae loan is $7,715.08. So that's great. That's not my total student loan because you have to take in the government loan into account when you're looking at my total student loan. But that is great over the course of 1 year going from, I can't exactly see it, but it looks like it was up at 30,000 here, and now we're down to 7,000. Great progress in my book. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with the way things are turning out, especially with my private student loans. Now, that completes my liabilities column, or as I say, like this is the column of the things that I owe to other people, debts that I have. If we go down here and look at my total debt for the month of February 2022, we see that I'm sitting at $212,576.77. So that's my total debt. And another good thing to point out, if you look at these months, as we move forward in time, you see that this number is continually dropping. Some months has actually dropped more significantly than others. For instance, when I paid off my car loan, it dropped by, I think, $7,000 in debt. That's good. Granted, that was also reflected up in my assets because I had to use cash from my savings to do so. But that's just the way things work. Next up, let's go ahead and take a look at the good news of things. My assets, these are things that I own and things that either hold value or grow in value. Now, let's see. Let's start with my TD AMERITRADE accounts because nothing really has moved too much here. In fact, if you kind of are following the news, I'm not going to go into that topic, but if you're following the news, you know that there is stuff going on in the world that is heavily impacting the market. And especially when it comes to this next one, my TD Roth IRA, if I can find it here, this one has gone down from my last update with that. It doesn't really matter because I'm not contributing right now to either of these accounts because I am so focused on getting out of my student loan debt. Once my private loans, which have a higher interest right now than everything else, once those are paid off, we'll then revisit these accounts, particularly that Roth IRA account, and we'll see what we're going to do from there. But right now, don't really worry about this. I'm not worried about it. I'm just going to kind of leave these and put them in just so I can, for the sake of tracking, but it's not really anything I'm worried about. All right, at the time of filming this, my savings and cash is right here, $10,380.29. This number, if you guys have been following this channel for any length of time and you've been watching these types of videos, this number doesn't move around too much. The reason is because, like I've just said, I'm so focused on paying off debt that any extra money that I can afford goes right to my student loans. So my savings and cash really isn't growing. If I were to go all the way back here to like March and April and May and June of last year, you guys once again can't see it, but I can see it on my screen. Yeah, right here, I don't know what month this is, probably like April or June, but I was up to $17,000 in savings and cash, and now I'm just down to 10. The reason is, like I said, I continue to be very strict with my savings account so that I can get rid of debt as quickly as I can so that the interest doesn't eat away at me. One thing I did just remember after I said that sentence is that I have not calculated into this number my emergency funds. So I apologize for that. If that were the case this month, it just raised it by like, I think $300, so $10,680. So yeah, I think that's the only thing I didn't really factor in there. Oh well. Moving on to the next two items on my asset chart is the vehicle and house. Now, if you have been paying attention to the car market in the United States, things are crazy. It is a terrible time to have to buy a car, so I hope no one has to buy a car. But vehicle prices are out of control. Right now, a lot of retailers are cranking up the price on the MSRP because used cars, like off a used lot, are so much more expensive than they used to be. So retailers are taking new cars and cranking up their prices so that they can get a profit out of it and I don't know, meet their margins. I don't know, but it's crazy. So I could theoretically take this $15,500. I could add easily $4,000 to that number. I'm not going to, though, because then once the market kind of levels out and goes back to normal, which I don't know if it ever will, but if it does, I don't want to have to then go back in and put a sizable dent in my net worth according to my assets, because I don't want to do that. But right now, the used car market is absolutely out of control. I actually have a friend of mine who recently purchased a vehicle. It's the same make and model as my vehicle. However, it's 3 years older than my vehicle and it has around similar mileage. And this friend of mine, purchased the vehicle because he had to at a price that was $5,000 more than what I paid for my vehicle when it was brand new 2 years ago. So crazy. It's unfortunate that this is happening because I know a lot of people need vehicles and it kind of stinks to have such high prices put onto even used cars nowadays. So we'll see what happens, but it's just crazy. Crazy times we're living in. Good segue for the next one here, which is my house, because the housing market is also nuts. I don't follow that one as closely. The housing market is just nuts. I could probably slap some extra thousands on here. I'm not going to, for the same reason I didn't do so with the vehicle, but it's just crazy that the cost of building supplies and to build a house right now is way, way, way more than what it used to be. Just to add an addition to a house, just to make a simple repair to a house is nuts. And then the last thing on my asset column that we need to include is my 401k. Now, I don't want to sound like a hypocrite here because I was just talking about my TD Ameritrade account and was saying that I'm not interested in investing right now. Well, I am interested, but I'm not investing right now because I'm trying to focus on my student loans. So why do I have a 401k column here? Because with my current employer, they give a match, which is free money. So I will be contributing to my 401k column as long as there is an employee match, because so far my 401k has done pretty well in its growth, and it's nice because it's free money to some extent. And you know, that's like a retirement account. So I'm okay with doing that. The majority of my money in cash flow does still go to student loan debt, unfortunately, but it is nice to have some form of investing account that I can see grow as my debt dwindles. So the 401k column, the amount at the time of filming this video actually is pretty good. $5,957.62. Now, I actually checked on this account about 3 to 4 days ago, and it was well over $6,000. Once again, without going into too much details, but there's kind of some stuff going on in the world right now, and it's affecting the markets pretty heavily, especially when you have holdings in like total stock international funds and total stock market index funds and ETFs and stuff like that. So these numbers kind of get adjusted according to that because the stock market is in a very emotional thing and it ebbs and flows with whatever's happening. So I'm still impressed with how well my 401k has grown since opening it up in last July of 2021, I believe it was. So I'm very happy that I began and started that journey. So now that we have included all the numbers for both my assets and liabilities, we can see that we have a total value for each. So for my assets, we have $200,167.04 for my total value for assets, and then my liabilities, $212,576.77. So what we're going to do now, to get my total net worth, we are going to take this number and subtract from it this number, the liabilities. And we're going to do so over here in the blue box. Now let's see. I've done this several times, but let's see if I can actually not make a fool of myself and make it work on screen in real time. And I did it. Woohoo! The total net worth for me for February, the end of February, is negative $12,409.73. Not bad. We're still in the negative, but as you guys can see, that was a pretty large, I think, a pretty large growth from last month. A sizable change of $4,150.40 from January to February. I'm okay with that. I think the main factors that played a role in that were the sizable dent in the Sallie Mae student loan column, a pretty decent dent in the mortgage, which was more skewed because it already took March's payment into account, and then also with the 401k column growing right there because nothing else really moved too substantially. I'm happy and proud of those numbers and the way I've been trending. As we can see here, the line is going up still at the 12,000. We're heading right to that zero net worth. I know that doesn't sound good to have, $0 for your net worth, but when you come from a state of, back in March of being negative $56,000 in that being my net worth, negative 12,000 doesn't seem as bad, and getting to zero will seem like quite an achievement. The last factor I want to do, and this is going to be, I guess, more interesting to say even next month because it will be the year anniversary of tracking my net worth, and that is looking at the yearly change. This is something new that I've implemented into this chart in some of my recent videos. So right now this number is not reflecting the current net worth that I have, this negative 12,000. So let's go ahead and fix that. And it should be a two-button fix here. Boom, there we go. So my yearly change from starting back in March of last year is $43,590.27. So that's the positive influence I've had on my net worth over the last year. It will be exciting to see what it's going to be once it actually is 1 year at the end of this month. I'm excited to see it because I know, without giving away too many spoilers, some things are going to be happening, especially in the debt column coming up. Good things, not bad things. So stay tuned for the end of March because there is going to be some sizable changes that happen with my net worth and with my debt payoff. I thank you guys always for tuning in and watching these videos and for supporting me. Stay tuned for those videos. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and you like content like this, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.